You say in the book, which obviously is true, that you did something that's quite audacious. You applied to Harvard, Yale, and I think Princeton, and Harvard did not accept you. So you then got out some coins and called the director of admissions at Harvard and said you made a mistake. What was that like?
That was frightening, actually. We didn't have cell phones then, so I got some quarters, and I found the phone number for the admissions office in some document, and the payphone was outside the gym, and I stood there and put those quarters in, and you could hear the ringing when they dropped down, and I asked for the dean of admissions, and I was put right through. And so he picks up the phone, and I said, "Hi, I'm Steve Schwarzman from Abington High School in Abington, Pennsylvania, and I'm on the waiting list, and I'd really like to go to Harvard, so why don't you take me off the waiting list?" And so he said, "How in the world did you get through to me?" He said, "You're not allowed to talk to me. I don't talk to applicants." And I said, "But we're talking." And he said, "Yes." He said, "You sound like a very nice young man, but unfortunately, we're not going to be taking anyone from the waiting list this year. Our yield was higher than we thought. And where else were you accepted?" I said, "Well, I'm accepted at Yale." And he said, "Well, you'll have a very good time at Yale, and you'll enjoy it." I said, "I'm sure I would." I said, "But that wasn't my objective for the phone call." He said, "Well, I understand that. I'm just so sorry."
Did you ever see him again or hear from him again in life?
Ironically, it's really a great story. The CEO of McKinsey was in my office like 25 years later, and he was on the Harvard Corporation. I told him this story. So he asked what year, and that dean of admissions was a close friend of his. He said, "Do you mind if I told him that I ran into you?" I said, "No, that's fine." And so I got a letter 2 weeks later from that former dean of admissions. Right. And he said, "I remember getting that phone call in 1964. And he said, every time I see you in a newspaper, I realized I blew it. I wish I made all the right decisions, but as I told you at the time, there were no beds at the inn.